Welcome back to Tour Validated. My name is DJ Lantz, and today is an exciting day. We're taking a look at the 2023 T-Series line of irons by Titleist. Now, Titleist works in a 2-year product cycle, so it's always exciting when we get these new irons in. So today we're taking a look at the new T100, T150, T200, and T350. So we're gonna be hitting some shots on foresight, looking at the data, but before we get into making those golf swings, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and it's go time. Starting off with the Titleist T100 iron, not a lot of visual difference from what we saw in the previous iteration of it, and that's probably because it was such a successful iron. A lot of tour players leaned on this iron, as well as a lot of amateurs, because it provided exactly what the player needed, a really clean profile with the added forgiveness and a great feel. New for this year is the Titleist T150, so before I get into hitting the T100, I want to talk about some visual differences between the two. You're going to see a little bit wider sole on the T150. They're both fully forged dual cavity irons, so you're going to get a very consistent feel between the two. But what you're going to see out of this 150 is a little bit deeper chassis and a little higher MOI, so it's a great opportunity for a blended set or just someone who looks for a little bit more forgiveness when they're looking for an irons. Between these two, you've got a great opportunity to have two very different models, which I think before the T100 and the T100S was very similar as far as looks, feel, launch, all of the above. So they've separated these two a little bit more, so they're going to blend easier. So let's get into hitting the T100. We're just gonna rock and roll. Looking down at this T100, it's everything I think a player would look for. Thin top line, not a lot of offset. Let's see how it feels. Oh yeah. That feels amazing. I will say, as someone who played the T100S, one swing in, that feels significantly better. I just think that sound, feel, look, we've kind of checked all the boxes. They did a great job taking an iron that's already really solid and making it just a little bit better. Man, does that feel wonderful. Really consistent ball flight. We're getting the same window. What you expect out of a Titleist iron. Let's get one more. I think the plan's gonna be to hit 3 shots with each iron. We can compare this data. Felt pretty solid, maybe a little bit of a toey miss. Next up, we've got the Titleist T150. This is a new addition this year in the T-Series line. This is gonna be that separation from the 100 and taking the place of that 100S. And honestly, looking down at this, I thought it would look a little bit bigger, being that it is that bigger 150 model, but you really can't tell a ton of difference from the top. Got a little bit more sole width, and it's 2 degrees stronger. So we're hitting 6 irons. That first 6 iron in the T100 was 30 degrees. This here is at 28 in that stock length. Let's see how it feels. Wow. At 2 degrees stronger, we're gonna have to look at the data, but that looked like it came out just a little bit higher, which was awesome. It felt really solid. So for me, through one swing, I mean, you get a little bit more forgiveness, very similar look. I have a feeling this iron's gonna be a very popular one. A little bit of a toey miss. Let's see how this added tungsten in this head helps with the forgiveness. Pretty solid. Hit that one on the toe. We didn't lose a ton of distance. So this one here with the higher MOI and the wider chassis sounds and feels great. Really solid iron. One of the things that jumps out right away through just a few shots is the acoustics. So you don't get that clicky sound that you oftentimes get with an iron that has a ton of tech in it. Like I mentioned before, fully forged dual cavity. So it is forged feel. We do have a lot of tech. This is a great addition to the line this year. Next up, we have the Titleist T200, an iron that was very popular 2 years ago in 2021. And we're gonna see a little bit of visual difference. So we're gonna have the chrome accents on this, but we also are supposed to see a little bit higher launch. And then the big story with this is improved acoustics. At address after hitting 100 and 150, I can tell you the T200 would blend seamlessly in that set. So let's go. Wow. Definitely improved acoustics. That's the first thing that you'll notice. That felt really good. And this here is at 27 degrees, so a degree stronger than the 150. I'm very impressed. This is probably the one that has stood out to me the most so far. Looking at the T200, wasn't an iron I'd probably consider last year, but now after seeing what it does through the first few swings here, it's definitely something to consider, at least in a long iron, because we are getting some great height out of it. That's awesome. These are so solid. Definitely standing out as one that is significantly different and improved upon from last year. Last up, we have the Titleist T350, and similar to the T200, it's gonna be a hollow body forged L-face. So a lot of tech under the hood. And at address position, this is gonna be the first iron in the new T-Series lineup that you can tell is a little bit more confidence inspiring. It's definitely for, I would say, a mid to higher handicap. So I'm interested to see what it does. At 26 degrees, it is a fairly strong lofted 6 iron, but because of where that mass sits, we should still see a fair amount of launch. So let's go. Wow, that one felt really solid. Ball really didn't move much at all either. So there is going to be a little bit more offset in this versus the others. A little thicker top line. Again, confidence inspiring is a lot of what is important to a player playing these irons. And it does have the D18 tungsten like the rest of the irons, positioned to get that ball in the air. That feels pretty good. I mean, ball's going far. Not an iron that I would play personally, based on how I hit and deliver a golf club. Really solid. Something definitely to consider. Wrapping things up with the new Titleist T-Series irons for 2023, and they definitely delivered for the hype. The T100 iron does exactly what you'd expect. Very consistent iron, great package, clean looks, great feel. As we look at the 150, we saw a little drop in the spin, which is expected with a little stronger loft, but not a crazy difference in carry, which I was surprised. Being that they are very similar, you get a little more forgiveness in the 150. Definitely an iron to consider if you want that clean package with a little more forgiveness. Now, as we look into the T200, that's where I really saw a big jump in ball speed and carry distance, at a little bit stronger loft than the T100. At 27 degrees, we saw a pretty significant jump in carry. So definitely an iron that gives you a clean package, a ton of carry distance, and a ton of forgiveness. Now, as we work into the T350, we saw, again, fast ball speeds. That's really fast. I don't really see ball speeds like that very often. We saw the spin drop a little bit, which is expected at 26 degrees aloft, and the carry distance way out of my comfort zone. If I played an iron like that, we'd need to have some more wedges in the bag. One thing I really want to note across this T-Series line of irons is that the launch angles were very consistent across the board. We had lofts ranging from the T100 at 30 degrees all the way down to the T350 at 26, and if you look at the data, we're seeing a pretty consistent launch angle. So that's something to think about when you start giving people a hard time about where their loft is on their 6 iron. We're looking for launch characteristics, so pay attention to the data and make sure that you're playing irons that are going to give you the best optimal performance for you. With that 2-year product cycle that Titleist has, they've definitely delivered with these new T-Series line of irons. They've taken what was already successful in the previous iterations and they've improved on them, made some subtle changes, and it's really a line of irons that I think everyone is really going to appreciate. There's something in there for everyone, so make sure to check them out.